You know, intelligence, peer-reviewed science, let's act on it, and they did. And so now it's, as of January 1st of 2018, it's unlawful to add microbeads to any rinse-off product in the country. Is that the only problem we have with plastics? No, it's certainly not. But that's the last time and the only time I know that it just, how did they do that? That's what we need to find out, because they snuck it in somehow. Somebody managed to get that through, and we probably shouldn't talk about it in other groups, because then other people will be looking at it, and then maybe they'll figure out, and it'll never happen again. So we need to figure out, like under the radar, how they did this, and do it again and again. Well, I learned early that community education is a tough sell. For the most part, the people that attend public programs are already realigned with your message. You know, composters, that's who comes to me, you know, composters. What I needed was tire burners, you know, because I want to make progress. Composters are already doing everything. If you never have a program, those composters are going to figure it out. They're going to get online, and they probably walk in knowing more than I'm ever going to know. And I was young when I started this, and I really wanted people to do the right thing because it was the right thing. I wanted to convert tire burners, you know. I wanted to turn them into tree huggers and recyclers, you know, because that's the right thing to do. If we all did make better choices every day in our habits, you know, we wouldn't be in the mess that we're in. But that wasn't what I was doing. I wasn't converting I've never converted a tire burner. I can't get my family to recycle, you know, right. They're contaminators. So I found myself just preaching to the choir. And for a long time, you know, that was kind of bothersome to me. You know, I thought, well, I'm never going to succeed. We're never going to move things ahead if all I'm doing is preaching to people who are already doing the right things anyway. But at some point I realized that, you know, the preaching to the choir really is an important job, because it gets like-minded people in the same room, and it gives an opportunity to have conversations, and maybe you can, you know, impart something to them that helps them to go on and share that message and you know, kind of like spread out a little bit. Anyway, you guys know this book, Undelivered? I got lucky. Don't you get lucky when you're in the car with NPR, you know? And so it was the City Club a couple weeks ago, and he really a fascinating book. So what he did, he went back. He is a speechwriter. He was a speechwriter for Joe Biden. He's not a speechwriter for Joe Biden now, but he was when he was the vice president. And he had some very interesting stories about all the speeches that he's wrote and the people that he's written speeches for over the years. But he wrote this book on speeches. He found these archived speeches that were never delivered. You know, it's like they would go in and they would have 2 or 3 sets of speeches, you know, like this is how they were really feeling and this is what they wanted to say. But for whatever reason, they backed off, and that changed history, maybe for the better, maybe not. So I would encourage you to download it as an Audible book, because he had actors read these unwritten speeches, and they sound like the people, the Hillary Clinton person, like he hired Hillary. There's no 2 ways about it. And it's just, I just thought it was kind of a fascinating thing. But in the interview, he stated that today's speeches, like some of the older speeches, you know, and before we were doing things the way we do them now, you know, everybody can turn the TV on, everybody can look up. We know where people stand politically on their issues. But at some point, that wasn't the case. Everybody was going to see the train come through, and you know, somebody'd step off the train, and some of these politicians were giving the same speech, you know, multiple times a day, and that's how you knew what they stood for. That's how you knew, and it's not like that now. He says, like now, speeches back then were meant to inform, and now they're more meant to activate and energize. And so, and even a presentation like this, and our podcasts, and all the ways that we learn things, and we hear these speeches and presentations, I feel like that's kind of the case. The people who are listening to you are the choir, you know, because they have selected you, and they probably already know what you stand for. And so that's kind of his thought, and I thought that was worth sharing. And so these are some of the kind of thoughts that have been running through my mind that have me distracted and have me unsettled and unable to kind of like move forward. You know, it's like speech, activate, energize, soil, dirt. Because I can never not think about soil and dirt. You know, it's where I work, it's what I do. If you or think about soil and dirt, if you work with soil and dirt, you can't not think about erosion. And environmental choices are choices, you know, and so I can't not think about choices and try to keep I wrote an article this week for Farm and Dairy, and, you know, no matter how many times I say, and I say it all the time, landfills are not full of A, B, and C, they're full of choices, a lot of individual choices. And what isn't, you know, what problem do we have, what solution do we have that we didn't arrive at by choices, individual choices. So who is speaking? Who are they activating? Who has the energy? Soil, where is our common ground? Dirt, where is the dirt? Erosion, what is eroding? Decision, who is making the decisions that limit my choices? What are they saying? Choice, so many lost opportunities, and why don't we choose differently? So who is speaking loudest? Follow the action, follow the energy. Can someone direct us back to the center? I mean, I feel like we're at opposite extremes. I love the fact that you guys state, I love that you said that today. You know, you stated you're nonpartisan at every meeting. You make that mission statement. You used to be able to talk to people with opposing views, and now, I mean, it's just not that way. We know that. So where is our common ground? Common ground, soil and dirt, they're not really the same thing. So where's the dirt? That's where the dirt is. So what if we lifted the rugs, all of the rugs? What if we exposed that dirt, all of that dirt? What if we swept it, scraped it, pushed it, and piled all of that dirt into one big heap for all the world to see? What shall we call our mountain of dirt from under the rug? What did we sweep under there? Slavery, Indian boarding schools, sexual abuse of minors in almost every religion and youth organization, and many other, etc. of shame. But what should we name this mountain? After all, many have climbed this mountain. I'd call it Mount Privilege. But some would prefer Mount Forget About It. That's in the past. Happened a long time. Forget about it. So what is eroding? Our common ground, our honor. This is actually from the 4 pillars of the National Honor Society: scholarship, leadership, service, and character. Scholarship. We've undermined public one up. Discrepance. Do you like that word? Discrepance. It's a human condition brought on by distraction, apathy, and a detrimental ignorance of the natural world and its life-sustaining gifts. I'm going to put it on your screen. Thank you. I'm glad you like it. Use it, please. And the title of this book gets to the heart of so many of our problems. This book right here. I mean, I know it's a book about climate change, but really that title, I mean, is that not, couldn't we just apply that again and again and again? Just every time we open a book, it's just a whole different issue. We just cannot be inconvenienced by the time it takes to vote, by the time it takes to learn, you know, what people are standing for, what choices we have on our ballot. You know, we can't be inconvenienced with new habits of conservation when our current habits are, well, so convenient. Need a drink, suck it up, pitch a cup. That's convenient. And one of the things that, you know, I think too much about things that are just weird, you know, but they make sense to me. And, you know, one of the things that I think is kind of a problem is that we call Mother Earth Mother Earth. And I think we should give it a different name, because I think like mothers take care of everything. You know, they pick it up, they feed us. You know, there's just magic that happens when you live in a home with a mother, right? And so I think in a lot of ways, we can think that there's somebody magically out there taking care of it. And there are actually people that I have conversations with, and the Randolph Fair is a great place to have these conversations. They do believe that the earth, it can just suck up anything that we hand at it. You know, that it can recover any of the ways, all of the ways that we treat it. And that there's no certain point at which we've used it all up and we've destroyed it. So I think a new name is in order. So this is my son's bedroom. What if we called it lazy ass teenager? Do you think that people would get a better idea that there's work behind getting Mother Earth clean? You know, lazy ass teenager needs, I mean, it's this. I don't even need to explain it. You all got it immediately, right? I mean, there's work to do. You know, wildlife, if we were going to just kind of go down that path, you know, like if we had a way to make people realize it was like the family pet, again, you know, somebody has to take care of that family pet. Somebody has to take care of that 4-H project. And it's not that 4-H kid, and it's not that kid who begged you for that doll. And so that's really kind of all I have. And